Oh, you and I we trade a lot of stories back and forth, and we're just sort of challenging each other to read things that we don't think we would otherwise be reading. You sent me a story from Discourse that I thought was really, really interesting. Discourse magazine, and it was about. I think it's like, the word myth that gets used a lot right now. I mean, it's like the word myth, just sort of like, and hack. Everything's a myth or a hack, and it's like, okay, please make it stop. But the headline on this was understanding the quote unquote wealthy working class. Affluent Americans care more about the quality of their consumption than its quantity. That's still a very highbrow headline, right? What this story comes down to, or what this article sort of, not to be redundant, articulates, is that, if you think that wealthy people don't work a lot or hard and didn't work a lot or hard to become wealthy people, you may be wrong. Because they, and in fact, let me read the lead to you, because the lead is very good. If you were to ask a layperson what a wealthy American does in a typical day, they might describe a life in the lap of luxury. It's easy to picture someone who lives off the income generated by the hard work of others, enjoying a leisurely lifestyle without engaging in any labor themselves. I think a lot of people do think about it in those terms. But the fact of the matter is that, and this is from the panel study of income dynamics, which is focused exclusively on U.S. households, that wealthy Americans, and I'm stealing straight from the story here, and this is written, I've taken enough of this. I should.
Economist.
Yeah, Domenico Ferraro, okay, is the author of this. Wealthy Americans, he writes this, wealthy Americans work as much as or more than the less affluent ones. They're just as likely to have jobs, work nearly the same number of hours each week, and maintain a similar number of working weeks throughout the year. So they're not taking 10 weeks off a year. They're not working from, 12 to 12:15 and then heading over to the club for a sandwich. No, they're So tell me your takeaway and why you wanted to talk about this story. I mean, well, I think it's fascinating, I know it to be somewhat.
I think it's important. It's important for not only people to know that, right? Look, America wasn't built. Wealth in America isn't built most of it is not inherited. Like, you had kings and queens in Europe, for example, that just passed down their wealth, and these noble classes, right? You don't have that. You didn't really have that in America. People in America really worked really hard to build wealth. And the reality is they continue to do so. They continue to do so for various number of reasons. The first one is once they have kind of their basic needs met, they want more quality. They want better quality foods. They want better quality items. So that's where, that's how they consume. Right. And so, and they ultimately look, you're a millionaire, but your neighbors are billionaires, and you're like, hey, they have nicer things and I want nicer things. And so that's how we are as a human race. And we continue to strive for better quality stuff, not necessarily more stuff, because this article actually highlights that the rich actually just consume just as much as you do. Most of us do, right?
Right. But the difference being that and this is in the article, that I mean it, if you're going to have a steak and you're a regular person, someone who's wealthy might have a Wagyu A5 ribeye, that costs $235 a pound or something like that, right? But it's the same. It's a piece of meat.
It's ultimately they're consuming the same quantity of stuff, right? There's only so much they can eat, and right, and it's just they are going to offer better quality, which is relatively more expensive.
Yeah.
But it has strong implications for policy, right? Like, you have some people saying, well, we should tax the rich more. Right.
Well, let's talk about that. And let me give you a setup, because I mean, the kicker on this op-ed, I think, is really, really good. And it starts with the subhead that says, does quality versus quantity matter? Okay. And I kind of like the way that Dominic wrote this. I mean, he's the curiosity levels is very high.
Economics.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the way that he's communicating it is very it's refreshing. Here's what he wrote: rethinking how wealth affects people's willingness to work is one of the most crucial aspects of well-designed government policy. Consider tax policy, specifically how progressive and personal income tax should be. Conventional wisdom, too often abused in some policy circles, would suggest imposing a very high tax rate on those at the top of the income and wealth ladder. This logic critically hinges on the presumption that wealthy individuals assign little value to an extra unit of consumption, so that taxing their incomes implies rather small or negligible adverse supply effects. But this logic is based on the quote-unquote more is better view of consumption. However, in our world, where it's the quality of consumption that matters, conventional logic falls short and may mislead policymakers into believing that work incentives are no longer important for those at the top.
Exactly.
It's really sharp. I think it's really very sharp thinking. I mean,
exactly.
If you like, I guess though, if you believe that, that people who are successful have somehow just like been born that way, and there are a lot of people that have been born between third place and home and third base and home plate, right? There's a lot of people that have been born on third base or even farther down the base path, closer to home plate. But I think those are the exceptions to the rules. You talked about kings and queens. We don't have kings and queens in the United States. We're, I don't know, but again, not to be
the share of people who just inherited is much smaller, right? It's
yes,
and that's the bottom line. And so for most people, most of us, it's hard work. You get up early, you do extra work. I look at everyone around me, and most people around me are working sometimes 10 hours, 12 hours a day, right? Working at weird hours. And and
working Saturdays and Sundays
Sundays.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's, and in particular, I mean, if you're a business captain or a business owner, if you have stewardship over a large organization, and the work that you do, primarily like the strategic work that you do to navigate your company through what is a changing and evolving scenario, no matter what it is, whether you make, brass tacks or you build battleships. I mean, there are a lot of things in between there. And you're subject to whatever's happening in the marketplace. But this story I thought was, I call it a story. This is an essay. It's an op-ed. It's very well written. It's not taxing from the standpoint of your time.
It is based on real data, and the real data says that incentives matter.
Yeah,
and that you can't assume that more consumption is always better, and because quality matters too.
Yes,
like maybe quality matters more, and that essentially everyone from the bottom up, as their incomes grow, want more and more quality. They want better and better stuff. And so they're just as responsive to tax policy incentives as everyone else, right? If you jack up the rate at the top, well, guess what? You're going to have similar consequences. And if you were taxing the middle class at a higher rate, right? People respond to tax incentives by basically pulling back, having to pull back, being forced to pull back, or to find loopholes and other ways to avoid the taxman, right? And that's essentially the bottom line. And like you said, I love the story because it's just based on real data, and it's insightful. It's full of insights about the dynamic impact of tax policy changes.
Give it a look. Dominic Ferraro, Understanding the Wealthy Working Class, at discoursemagazine.com. That'll do it for Orphe and me.